Nicey, nicey, zoo, zoo. I've got you. Zoo, zoo. Nicey, nicey, zoo, zoo, zoo. I've got you. Nicey, nicey, zoo, zoo. I've got you. Zoo, zoo. Nicey, nicey, zoo. I've got you.
What's wrong with little quarter black?
He had a rough day at school. He said none of the kids would talk to him.
I have an idea.
Oh boy, Suge Knight Ruxpin.
I swear to y'all, it's like this. I'm gonna beat the dog out of you. If a telling you that the police didn't do it, they're punk ass. So if I ask me if I know who killed Tupac, I'm the said, hey, absolutely not. I'm gonna you up, man. That light me up.
Good night, Suge Knight Ruxpin. You'll be my best friend forever.
Cause we're all gonna die. Nobody gonna leave here alive, and people die all the time.
Suge Knight Ruxpin, batteries and Dr. Dre's masters, sold separately.
.com. That's the sound of being back with you today. Hope you enjoyed yesterday's infiltration of Fat Studies. That's an actual program and major at our higher institutions. And hey, look, now I'm peer-reviewed.
Oh, nice.
And I'll be reviewing other peers.
This is a terrible world.
That's one thing that we haven't told you. I have been repeatedly asked by other rotund professors to review their research.
And provide notes.
No, it's not a real thing. It was a goof. So, and we'll probably have some more coming on that soon. We'll have some other change my minds on the topic. But boy, it's a lovely day. A lot going on here in the news. And look, really quickly before I move on with anything else, if this show is not on YouTube, if we do not tell you that we are not doing a show, it means the show is going on all weekdays, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. You can watch it on Rumble. If it's not here on YouTube, or of course Mug Club, where we will be doing an additional hour of show every day. LouderWithCrowder.com/Mug Club. It's the only way we earn a living, and you can also buy Suge Knight Ruxpin at the Crowder shop.
You can't.
Yes.
You cannot.
No, you cannot. But my question to you is, first question. Did you ever really doubt the Hunter Biden laptop story?
It should be a short answer.
You know what? And since I know that's a yes or no, I want you to answer with degrees of certainty. Give me a scale from 1 being least certain to 10 being how everybody actually felt.
How many were there?
Well, we'll get into that, too. Smartest man, former Vice President Biden knows. So we talk about that, and also the refugee crisis here today. This is something you've been hearing a lot in the media, that, hey, we're treating Ukrainian refugees differently because they're white. It's the exact opposite. We bring in far more non-white refugees. That's been happening for years. And by the way, the United States has not brought in that many Ukrainian refugees, just to be clear. So don't let them browbeat you into being afraid of being accused of being a racist, because they're going to do it anyway. But you know this. Gerald A. is here. How are you, sir?
I am well, sir. You looked fantastic as a woman yesterday, if I do say so.
I wasn't
myself.
going for fantastic. I was going for fat, unkempt, and peer-reviewed.
Fantastic. I'm sorry.
Well,
how are you doing other than that?
Well, I'm going to take a while to earn back self-respect. Degrees of self-respect.
Just stay there for a minute.
You guys can rate how much self-respect do you think I have? Degrees. 1 being, 0 to 10. I think I fall somewhere in a 4.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So by tomorrow, like a 3.
Right.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. Which means, in the realm of stand-up, in the realm of comedian, I'm like a 7.
Well, that's true.
But in the realm of normal people, 4, I'm probably a 4. Speaking of brilliant comedians, fastest man on his feet, you know him, you love me, you can find him on Twitter at Landau Dave. Dave Landau!
Ahoy.
How are you?
Good. You grow a beard fast.
I do. I do grow a beard fast.
It was like a day.
Yeah.
He's like a chia pet, just
That's
add water.
Impressive.
Well, the actual seminar we'd been sitting on for a very long time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because we wanted to see what else they did, but it turns out they don't do much, the
Nothing.
studies professors. No, it's very slow. It's
Kill
almost
the
like
movie magic.
Yes. It's almost like a reptile exhibit. You put a heat lamp on them, like, Cheez-Its.
It's their sedentary physically and mentally.
Which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. It doesn't.
Is there an
exist
odor?
When
you were there. How would you describe?
Well, it wasn't. It was by Zoom.
So you just scratch and
Until they invent smell-o-vision.
That's true. Yeah.
The schnozberries smell like schnozberries. The fat pride activists smell like cheese.
Probably accurate.
Bacterial yeast cultures. You can use them to make kefir. No.
That's disgusting.
It doesn't exist in a microcosm, just like we'll be talking about lawyers, these scenarios right now. We're talking about a Supreme Court justice. These people right now who are today's fat studies professors, the students are going to be building your planes. The students are going to be teaching your children. Today, when you have lawyers like at Georgetown, right, who are upset over the Supreme Court, actually, I should say upset over the fact that their professor did not support the Supreme Court nominee solely based on the premise of race, they needed a place to go and cry. These are the people who are going to be on your future Supreme Courts. These are the people who are going to be your public defenders. Think about that for a second, and it is terrifying. Imagine a world where kids who are going to these colleges are building your roads, building your planes, and then when one goes down and there's a lawsuit, no one can handle anything.
They need a safe place to
They need a safe place. Safe place to mourn the survivors.
So did I. Something that wasn't going to crash.
Imagine if pilot school was like this for Sully.
Yeah.
You would still be pulling bodies out of the Hudson.
Oh, by far.
All right.
There'd only be 8 people allowed on the plane.
Right. Well, that's also with the fat studies, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
True.
I always get the first class ticket. Taxman takes a share, doesn't he? Okay. So before we move on to any of that, there's look, Nancy Pelosi is I always thought that Nancy Pelosi was relatively sharp. I used to say this. 2 people have ever referred to as evil. 2 people have ever referred to as evil, Nancy Pelosi and Governor Whitmer. Those are the only 2 people who have said, I genuinely think they would, they would chop up their spouse's body to sell the body parts to China for medical experiments. I don't just think they're politicians. I think they are people with a lack of empathy. That being said, I thought that Nancy Pelosi was relatively sharp.
I thought you meant like sharp, like bony.
That too.
Yeah.
Sure, she throws those
Very
bows.
pointy.
Throw those
Very
elbows.
Pointy person.
No 9-to-5s now, Nancy Pelosi. It's not allowed under the unified rules. But I was wrong. She is now completely incomprehensible. This just surfaced, but here's from a press conference just a couple of weeks ago.
We're sending stuff over to the Senate. Well, most of the product that we've done is, now we may have added in the last day or so, and some of what we added is Senate to the bill, like a hearing. Bernie doesn't like hearing. Excuse me, Bernie loves hearing.
He would love to hear.
Doesn't want
He
hearing
can't.
in the bill and all that stuff. So some is Senate-oriented, and then we had the family medical leave. We figured if they're putting things in, then we can put something in, even if Manchin doesn't like it. So, so we are getting some bird and privilege. I think mostly we're getting privilege scrub. Because privilege scrub is deadly to a bill. Bird ball, it's important. You have to take it out. But privilege violation can take you out.
So bird bones, scrub. Follow up. What? I'm usually able to make sense. Like that's a word
Right.
club.
No, clearly she had chloroform for breakfast.
Yes. She chloroforms herself like Michael Caine in the Cider House rules.
She just had.
ladies and gentlemen, that's the Speaker of the House.
Yes, the Speaker of the House.
What happens
to
when
be
you mix
outdone.
cocaine and GHB?
Yes. Only to be outdone by the sitting former vice president.
Speaker. It's in the name. It's all you're really supposed to do is speak, and you don't even have to be, Mrs. Eloquent. You just have to not be functionally retarded.
Right.
Yeah.
No, Mad Libs are way more coherent
Yes.
than anything she just said.
Well, do you remember when Ron Paul had a stroke live on a live stream? We were all concerned. He made more sense in the stroke moment.
For crying out loud, Frankie Muniz, when he had his 19 mini strokes in his NASCAR, I was still talking through the helmet like nothing happened. Can we get mini stroke Muniz
Yes.
to be Speaker of the House?
Is there a bird senate?
You know what I wanted to see? I want to see somebody signing that. I know somebody had to be there to sign. I want to see the sign.
Just going like
What the fuck?
Just Robert Byrd's corpse. You rang.
Yeah.
Don't say the word, Robert Byrd. You already said it many times. You get it. You were in the Klan. You love the N-word. Just stop.
So bad.
Did anyone understand this?
no.
No,
We will,
Manchin.
person who comments below and gives the most accurate translation of that will win a lock of Gerald's hair.
No, we can't keep giving that away. It's precious.
Body hair.
Well, there's plenty of that.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Really gross.
For crying out loud.
I mean, ugh.
Yeah. It's
Thought
like
I
you're
had friends here.
It's like you're wearing wool fucking chaps. I love about Sam Elliott. He was so upset. Like, you got one homoerotic gentleman and leather chaps, one in woolly fucking chaps. Like, he really hates the woolly
He
chaps.
does.
He really does.
Like, they have to be functional. He doesn't want them.
So woolly chaps are a little much.
They don't really make much sense.
No.
Speaking of not making sense, this is when it's bad, is you want to go in and defend your own, right, Americans? He was like, we can make fun of her, but you don't want the rest of the world to make fun of her. It's like protecting your little brother. But even Australian news commentators, this is Sky News, by the way, which isn't necessarily a bastion of conservatism. I know they're leaning a little more right now, not when I used to do it. This is, the rest of the world is laughing at you.
Look what they said about the previous administration. They said that Trump was horrible, and that he was crazy, and that he was racist, and that he was a terrible leader, and he said all of these awful things, and they peddled just complete fake news and fake stories about him. They promised that they would do better, and they would be the adults in the room, and everything would be just normal and lovely when they got into power. And now they've got into power, and rather than improving on Trump, you've got a president who is completely off with the pixies. You've got a vice president who the very best thing about her is that she can do a bad French accent. And given that clip of Nancy Pelosi, you have a Speaker of the House who apparently doesn't know her Arthur from her Martha.
By the way, I like the whole 50s look that she has going on.
I do. I was wondering.
It's sort of rockabilly, but without all the tattoos and meth.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I do. I think it's a good look.
I think it's a good look, and I didn't really hear what she was saying, but I assume it was pretty bad. By the way, if you hear me saying no, it's because Joe Lewis is in the studio, and he's not supposed to be chewing his paw right now, and he was chewing it. So
it's because I was licking myself.
Yes. Well, so was Gerald. He was getting ready for the body shaver because one of you is going to be getting his luscious locks.
You're not at all. It's not happening.
He uses argan oil on his.
No, I don't.
Right.
He does candle wax and then rips it off.
Okay, we'll move on to this because we're going to be talking about media corruption here with the Biden laptop story and Ukrainian refugee issue. It's just, look, if you want to know public enemy number one, it's not only traditional media, it's traditional media and, of course, big tech. And they are one and the same now because of the advertising dollars. And unfortunately, now they're in an unholy relationship with the lady you just saw. Not attractive 50s Australian, I mean Nancy Pelosi and the White House. So Babylon Bee, for people who don't, they're a satire website.
Satire, yeah.
Like a right-leaning Onion and funnier. Onion used to be great. Onion, pretty tough now to read. But they were suspended from Twitter, a satire site.
Really?
And here's what's so confusing about this, because it's not really satire, but it technically is satire. And wherever you line up on this, either way, according to Twitter, it's hate speech. So their tweet read, the Babylon Bee's Man of the Year is Rachel Levine. And that violated Twitter's hateful conduct rule, which is, look, USA, this is the one thing, too. We all know these titles don't. USA Today's, their Women of the Year used to be a figurative dick measuring contest, and now it is a literal dick measuring contest.
It is.
I'm just glad that white men are getting all of women's awards.
Yes.
Because white men have had it hard
titles
for too long, and swimming titles. I think it's important.
That Leah Thomas swam her balls off.
It's important.
And it takes balls to be the Woman of the Year, guys.
I am surprised that dick didn't slow her down.
Well, there's shrinkage in those pools.
Doesn't create drag.
I was in the pool.
Just tucked it.
Is it like a
Buffalo
rudder?
Bill? That was Leah
swim in an
Thomas's warm-up before it was going, I want me.
Okay.
Put the swimsuit in the basket.
Time to be a champion.
I would watch you lap.
I would watch you lap. And you can, by the way, the thing is, too, when Leah Thomas.
Yeah, it's easy when you don't have breasts.
Yes. When Leah Thomas, they're buoyant. They're buoyant devices.
Yeah.
It's like the seat cushion on an airplane, only, more fun. The thing is, with Leah Thomas, the coach, I don't know that you could hear, the coach was yelling, they encourage you. The coach was yelling, slow down! Because in the preliminaries, just lapped them. Like, we know that this guy, man, by the way, I'm not saying male, female, and that's another thing. People talk about the term sex versus gender.
Yeah.
Rachel Levine was referred to as female 4-star admiral by this administration.
Right.
Female is a biological term. Look, it's not about gender versus sex. I've always been telling you that. Gender was a grammatical term. They just wanted to just get their foot in the door. And now, guess what? Well, look, if it's about gender versus sex, okay, so your gender, social, right, sociological, okay, you identify as a woman.
Right.
But sports are separated by biology. So even if you want to argue Women of the Year with USA Today, you can't argue the NCAA swimming titles. My point is they're just going to keep on going down the trail to the point where you can't forbid your 6-year-old son from puberty blockers lest they take your child away from you. It was never about taking a dump in a Target with a fake mustache.
So really, if Chris Brown had just put a bow in his hair, he'd just be an excellent
Yes, exactly.
boxer.
He just needed the Minnie Mouse dress.
Yeah, and everybody would have been clapping for his bravery.
Yes.
Yes. What did she say to you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
To set you off like that.
Exactly.
Ma'am.
Rihanna. Well, she wouldn't stop complaining about the umbrellas.
Yeah, where was it? Ella.
Where's
Ella,
Ella? I get it. I'll find it. Hey. Start swinging.
Give me a minute.
You blame him?
Yeah, I can't blame him. I thought my alarm clock was broken when
I
that was
know.
playing. I was like, Ella, hey.
It's Groundhog.
Please don't stop the son of a bitch.
What time were we removed?
All right.
Does it work on TikTok?
Yeah.
Apparently it does on YouTube.
Well, now let's move on. Oh, I feel like Price is Right. Like, we go from the Bahamas to the Maldives. So right now, let's move on down to, we'll move up to Georgetown University. So you guys know the Senate confirmation hearings for Biden's Supreme Court pick. I want to make sure I get this name right. Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
They began yesterday.
Yeah.
So everyone's been talking about that. And this is really important because of, Clarence Thomas is in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
And and they say he's going to be out in 2 days. I just hope it's not we swap a black person for another like the Fresh Prince mom.
Yes.
And they just hope that we don't notice.
That was really weird.
Yes.
She's not even the same color.
No, it's not.
Oh, wow.
Even close. She wasn't.
Like they wouldn't, if they went into, Sephora, they wouldn't be in the same aisle.
I never saw. Oh.
Fresh Prince. They
I
changed
never
the mom.
thought about that.
Yeah, because he's colorblind.
You didn't notice that
I
a
did
dark
notice.
black woman went to a very light-skinned woman who looked nothing like the other woman?
Yeah.
No, I never watched the show that often until later,
Really?
and I never saw. I just now I'm having that revelation.
Just to be clear, I don't
Wow.
mean this in a figurative sense. Gerald is actually colorblind.
I am, yeah, partially.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I guess not.
That's why he doesn't see shades of
partially.
black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's a human on the planet that's black colorblind.
So this is a big
Some guy
deal.
totally does not understand racism. He's like, no, I really don't get it.
I don't
I
get
don't
it.
understand. Everybody's white to me. It's weird.
It's like the pirates where they give him the black dot. Like the black, you've been marked. What is this?
I don't
know.
see anything.
Like it's the black dot. It's just a sheet of paper. No,
Yeah, what?
You're marked for death. It's the black dot. It's just a sheet. There's no dot.
Everything is just clear.
Yeah. All right, give me a red dot.
Can't see that either.
Just keel haul.
I'm red green.
We don't need all the theatrics. So the Supreme Court hearings are starting. But last month, Georgetown, this is a story that happened. Last month, Georgetown professor Ilya Shapiro was put on administrative leave, specifically for criticizing Biden's, now to be clear, saying that Biden shouldn't be picking, former Vice President Biden shouldn't be picking a Supreme Court nominee based on race and sex. I don't know if it's sex or gender.
I think sex.
Whatever.
Ish.
Yes, please. So, sex, gender, race. So this professor at Georgetown, right? It's a very prestigious school. I don't even know about
Great law
Georgetown.
school.
Great law school.
Yep.
I mean, they'll have the same textbooks, let's be honest.
Great-ish. I mean,
It's just, you clerk because you have your name next to a school on your degree. I don't know how much better these schools are than other schools, honestly.
it's good enough.
I know a guy from Harvard Law who's the dumbest human being I've ever met in my life. Then I know someone who's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this professor, Georgetown, put on administrative leave for criticizing Biden making that a priority, the racial preference with the nominee, and then specifically, some of the students were really upset about some tweets. Let me read you the tweets. This is from the professor. Srini? Okay, I want to make sure I get this name. He wrote, objectively, best pick for Biden is Srinivasan. Srinivasan, I think is the term. He said, but alas, doesn't fit into the latest intersectionality hierarchy, so we'll get lesser black women. Then he also wrote, because Biden said he's only considering black women for Supreme Court, his nominee will always have an asterisk attached, fitting that the court takes up affirmative action next term.
Wow. Now, at the very end of that first quote, we'll always get a lesser, or we'll get a lesser black. I mean, his point is true. That's the lesser candidate, right? But it sounds, I can see how it sounds a little bad.
Well, here's the thing. The students lost their minds.
Oh, it's not lost your mind territory. It's just like.
They lost their minds. Okay. And by the way, he's right about always having asterisk next to it. If you go back to a Change My Mind that I did at UT Austin, and I said that affirmative action is racist, this one girl, it's one of the most heartbreaking Change My Minds I've ever done. She sat down, she was black, and she said, well, you know, for me, I think that I needed it. You know, what about people like me? And I said, well, what about a person like you? She said, well, you know, I'm here at UT. And I said, and you don't think you would have made it here to UT in Austin? You don't think you would have made it in if not for affirmative action? She said, well, I don't know. I said, well, what were your grades like? And she was, you know, top of her class.
Yeah.
I said, what were your extracurriculars like? And she had a ton of extracurriculars. She wrote a great paper.
Yeah.
I said, what are your grades like here at UT? And she was, you know, straight A student. I said, this is really sad. So I said, I look at you and I hear what you're telling me, and I think that you're a perfect student for you. I think you should be able to punch your ticket and go to any university you want to, and I don't think that it should have anything to do with your race. It's sad to me. Do you think that the only reason you're here at UT is because of your race? And she said, I'd like to think not. I said, well, I'm telling you it's not.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with affirmative action. And then she agreed. That was sad to me. You rob someone of that feeling of accomplishment. So a student then partaking in a sit-in, they actually asked the administration for a place to go and cry. Now, I know, here's the thing. You're used to hearing this from like gender studies students, right, or feminists, because we expect them all to be weak. These are your future lawyers, judges, clerks.
There's no crying in law school.
There's no crying in law school. Come on, guys. So they asked, is there an office that they could go to? They said, I don't know what it would look like, but if they want to cry, if they need to break down, where can they go? Because we're at a point where students are coming out of class to go to the bathroom to cry.
What?
Law students have to leave
Crying
class.
in the boys' room.
Yes. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Professor Shapiro suggested another female minority.
Yes. I'm sorry. You saying that name was...
Suggested another, Shrivian, whatever the hell it is. I can't even pronounce it.
It wasn't like a white Anglo-Saxon last name.
I can't read Sanskrit.
I mean, why is there preference for a black woman to be the next Supreme Court justice?
This is a totally legitimate, not only grievance, but a discussion for a professor to have. Hey, look, do we really want to be picking? So it went from, this is why I say it's not about gender versus sex. In this case, affirmative action wasn't about giving people a fair shake to correct historical injustices. Where does it go? Well, we have affirmative action, and now it's, wait, hold on a second. We don't even want a professor to be able to say that a judge to the highest court in the land should not be picked exclusively based on race and gender. That is not even an opinion that's allowed. We need a room to go cry and break down. These are going to be the people running your country.
Yes, to the future court-appointed attorneys.
Yes.
Crying in the bathroom. How are you going to do anything? Anything in life at all?
Yeah.
I mean, pay a bill. Anything at all in life if you have to cry if you hear something you don't like.
Well, this is what universities have become, is just eliminate voices you don't like.
Don't send your kids to school ever.
Well, in safe spaces. I was at Notre Dame, and I was in one of the common areas, and there was a room that said safe space for students of color. And I was like...
Why? When?
At Notre Dame?
At Notre Dame.
When you went there?
No. When I went back last
year. At Notre Dame, there's probably like 4 people in that room.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's where you go to buy drugs.
That was actually 3 people.
It's an Irish guy?
Right, yeah.
That's the one Italian?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yay!
I mean, I just...
I don't like them.
I don't understand the concept of running to your group to be able to say what you need to say. I thought the whole purpose was to have conversations with other people. That's what diversity does, is it gives you perspective. And if you only go and have perspective with people like you, you get rid of diversity.
Well, here's the thing. Now it's not only about eliminating diversity among the student body, but also the professors.
Of course,
which is why you see some schools have not one conservative professor. You can go back through all references available at loudwithcutter.com, by the way. You can go back through some previous show maps. It is unbelievable. Nowhere else in the population do you see this imbalance of left versus right. You see it in Hollywood, you see it in media, and you see it in education. That's about it.
It really should be hard for a man to cry. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It just is a natural thing. I'm not it's not really they act like it's beat into you. It's not.
No, it's not. You know, you have to bury your bulldog, you cry. You lose a relative, you cry. You get kicked in the nuts for the first time, maybe you cry.
You
But
cry
only once.
later though. Like even when you lose like your dad, it's 5 years later and you're watching Home Improvement. I know from experience.
Yes, exactly.
It's just like it's not that easy. You shouldn't just bawl your eyes out because you heard something you didn't like.
No, it doesn't make any
makes
sense.
Zero sense.
No, and this is the thing. They say it's toxic masculinity, right? That's being conditioned into young men.
That's not true.
It's not true. This is an active form of conditioning where they want to tell young men, do you want to cry? Cry. Do you need a room? We'll give you a room to cry. You should cry. It's actually not a great thing to cry. There's nothing wrong with men crying when appropriate.
Right.
But encouraging men to cry where they wouldn't otherwise cry, and it's incredibly inappropriate, is definitely not good for our society.
Well, listen, Brendan Fraser in Bedazzled wouldn't cry at that tweet. Does anybody get the reference? You guys?
I do get the reference, but I'm just sad that you brought it up. I did
Really?
have Showtime when I was a kid, and I was too hungover to find the remote.
Yeah. You want to reference Constantine next?
Yes.
How about
it's a
Courage
fine
Mountain
film.
with Charlie Sheen?
Yeah. You
Fine film.
got some good Jake Speed references for us? Hudson Hawk on your schedule for today?
Actually, that was pretty good.
That is a movie I watched too many times. Why did they play that on a loop?
Well, you played it on a loop.
Well, though,
You were
it was
too
like,
high to hit
it was
stop.
prison.
It was like
Dave.
HBO 2. Well, yeah. HBO 2 came out, and they were like, I think we can just do Hudson Hawk for a while.
Yes.
That's where the
More of
second
a palate cleanse. This really is, though. It's a terrifying time to be alive in
It
this
is.
country. To know that we are going into unprecedented territory. Everyone knows, these kids, that's not music, because the Beatles said they wanted to hold your hand. Okay, I get it. All right, fine. This is a little bit different, though, when we are talking about a new generation of people who don't believe that men and women are a thing, who don't believe that there are differences between men and women, who don't believe that there's an appropriate time, who've actually been taught that the idea of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is an archaic ideology. It's one that's actually insulting. It's toxic masculinity. That they should be able to they shouldn't have to live their life hearing any opinions with which they disagree. And these are the people who are also, by the way, being proclaimed intellectuals because they happen to be the only ones able to tolerate, pardon me, the bullshit in higher education. You're going to see a divide where intelligent people with common sense, people with likely higher IQs are not going to want to go to Ivy League universities. They're not going to want to go to public universities. They're not going to want to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's why they want to make a college degree, the new high school degree, where everyone has to have one to be employed. You shouldn't need it. You should be good at your job. I really just want us to go to performance-based pay across the board. That's the only way we pull ourselves out of this rut, is the market slaps some reality into these kids. Because if you show up as some gender-bending, blue-haired feminist who doesn't like to hear that your boss says that's not the way you clean the cappuccino machine, they're going to drown you in it. They should.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah, or back to white people.
Right.
Well, in the emerging markets right now, in the countries that are coming up, nobody gets to say that. You have to work hard. We just have had so much success. You're living off of the success of your parents right now. Yeah. That's it. And it won't last very long until we have a real problem in this country.
I think people are living off the mediocrity of a lot of their parents.
Well, it's really the greatest generation. It's your parents' right now.
Or the welfare.
Feeding off of that success.
Crap. Everyone sucks.
Yeah. Well, hey.
I wish I had a better attitude, but I'm just black-pilled.
It's okay.
I can't see that.
By the way, stop taking the pills in my desk. It's not what you think they are. Enjoy the pretty colors. Hey, loudwithcrowder.com/tour. You can go and see we're adding shows all the time. Me and Dave, we're going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There are some seats left May 14th. Tulsa, Oklahoma, May 14th. And June 18th, we add another show at Pikes Peak. Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's at the Pikes Peak Center, but it's in Colorado Springs, June 18th. We had to add a whole new show, so there are tickets there. And just check loudwithcrowder.com/tour because we're adding dates all the time, and we don't mention all of them on the show.
And you won't have any Brendan Fraser jokes.
We will not.
Have you seen him lately?
Yeah, well, he was in that show where I assume that's why he had to gain weight, because he looked like Brendan Fraser. He looked like a balloon of Brendan Fraser.
He looked like Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
A little bit.
He should play Rodney Dangerfield in a movie.
Do me a favor. Guess one reason why a teenager would watch that movie.
What movie?
Oh, come on. We all know the
Bedazzled?
answer. We all know the answer.
It's
That's because Brendan Fraser's dimples are just, I can get lost in them.
Yes, that is true. I could go swimming in those dimples.
You guys are giving me crap for watching a movie where basically it's Elizabeth Hurley looks beautiful in any outfit they put her in because she's constantly changing into different characters.
Of course I'd watch that movie.
I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that's why I did.
No, what you're saying,
I'm admitting
though,
a fault, Dave.
is you hope the devil looks like Elizabeth Hurley because you've sinned and you're going to meet him.
Well, that's actually probably how the devil's going to show up. It's not going to be a creaky coffin. It's going to be a secretary who looks like Elizabeth Hurley.
Well, then hail Satan.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You don't need to go see Elizabeth Hurley movies anymore. She has an Instagram, for crying out loud.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit through Bedazzled.
You have to sit through Bedazzled.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, we really have.
You want to see Heather Graham? Just follow her. You don't need to freeze frame it on the boob that you see in all Heather Graham films. It's like she has it in her rider.
Graham is in her name.
Yes.
It's telling you not to watch her movies.
It's absolutely
like,
right.
Go to Instagram.
Okay.
Insta Heather Graham.
Now let's move on to Hunter Biden's laptop. All right. Well, look, I know this seems like remedial for some of you, but it's not. It shouldn't be, because you know the story's true. I know the Hunter Biden laptop story is true because we had Mayor Giuliani on the show, and he showed the laptop for the very first time on the show.
He's like, you mean this?
This laptop right here? I'm like, that's the laptop? Like, he left it at a computer repair shop. I have it right here. I'm like, don't show that. And then the next day he was raided by the feds.
And they didn't take the laptop.
They didn't take the laptop.
They took everything else.
They took everything else. They took his humidor.
They took everything that wasn't child porn.
Yeah.
Right.
He's holding the laptop up, said, take this, please investigate.
They don't want to look at his laptop. It's like staring into a mirror, isn't it? Yes. FBI. So the New York Times reported last Friday that, in fact, Hunter Biden's laptop, well, the bad one, the one that we know about, there's three, I'll get to that in a second, that it was real. All the news that's fit to print. Just a little too late. Here's the thing. It actually wasn't mentioned in the article at the New York Times until paragraph 24.
Oh, wow.
24. It needs to be in the title and the entirety of the article. We screwed up. You trusted us. It was real. The end.
So that's below the fold, you're saying?
It's below the it would be after the mad fold-in, and that's the end of the magazine.
Oh, that's odd. Did you think this would have affected the election maybe in any way?
I got some numbers for you, so put on your mouth guard. Don't let them hit you in the teeth. Here's what it says. Paragraph 24. Those emails were obtained by the New York Times from a cache of files that appear to have come from a laptop abandoned by Mr. Biden in a Delaware repair shop. Now, I know you guys are all saying, yeah, we know. No, the point is most of the country did not know.
Right.
You know. Most of the country didn't know. Certainly not the New York Times readers. The email and others in the cache were authenticated by people familiar with them and with the investigation. You mean you at your cocktail party with the Bidens? You found it's like, hey, was there anything to that laptop with all the kiddie porn and crack? Yeah, that was me. I better do an addendum here. Okay, thanks.
Was it Hunter Biden's like everybody said it was?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing.
Wow.
There are 3 laptops, right? So he left one at a repair shop. One was seized by the feds, so that's 2. And then we just found out there's a third one that it may or may not have been stolen by Russian drug dealers because he was taping himself having sex with a Russian woman who I'm sure was just into him personally.
Oh, yeah. Liked him for him.
And they were going to use it. They may or may not be using it for blackmail. So this is Hunter Biden going, maybe I should get out ahead of this one. This is his lawyers, I guarantee you, going, all right, look, Hunter, okay, you have this laptop. All right, New York Times just confirmed it. There was the other laptop seized by the feds. We are doing our best to defend you, big guy. Is there anything else that you are not telling me? Nope.
No.
There's nothing else. What was that? What was that? It seemed like a...
Like
we
know
there's
about the house in Malibu and all the escorts.
There's one.
Is there any more homemade porn than we already know about?
There's one more.
Any more?
Where I was using the webcam to film myself engaging in intercourse with a Russian prostitute, and the Russian drug dealers may or may not be using it to blackmail me. Okay, Hunter, this is information that would have been useful to me yesterday.
What is their new strategy to flood the market with Hunter Biden laptops? It's like, we hear a story about a laptop every week now.
Just desensitize them to Hunter Biden child pornography.
God, he's an idiot.
So remember, this was, of course, the media. Actually, you know what? Before we play clip B, can I play clip 1? Remember, former Vice President Joe Biden, and I want to sort of run through this with you. You have the White House, you have the FBI, you have the media, you have big tech. But first, let's go to former Vice President Joe Biden when he was asked about the Hunter Biden scandals. And it gets better than the initial part of the clip.
As much as you don't want it to happen, you know that the people who want to make hay in Washington are going to try to use your adult son as a cudgel against you. How do you feel about that, and what do you have to say to those people?
Well, look, we have great confidence in our son.
Why?
I am not concerned about any accusations been made against him. It's used to get to me. I think it's kind of foul play, but look, it is what it is.
We just bought him new teeth.
He's a grown man. He is the smartest man I know. I mean, in terms of pure intellectual capacity. And as long as he's good, we're good.
Well, he's not good.
As a father, I understand that, and I admire that.
Well, you shouldn't. He's the smartest man you've known. 3 laptops. How about he's smart enough to stop buying laptops? Just install an app. Find my crack top. He can at least get one of the 3 back.
Well, look, in all fairness, Joe Biden has spent the last, 700 years in politics, and there aren't that many bright people apparently in politics, so it is the smartest person he knows.
There are fewer bright people in politics than there are child pornographers. There are fewer bright people in politics than there are child pornographers who lose 3 laptops.
Well, usually when the FBI takes the laptop, they also take the guy who owns it.
Right. Especially considering that he's the videographer.
Yeah, not in
he
this
was
case.
the cinematographer.
They
He
don't
wasn't just engaging in sex with a minor. He was Fellini-ing it. You're like, is that a Dutch angle? Look at what?
Yeah, this is... The lighting is spectacular.
It absolutely is spectacular. I felt like I was watching Chinatown.
That was amazing.
We're not worried about it. We think it's foul play. Do you understand the liability, first off, not only of this being his son, and we act like he's a kid. He's a grown-ass man. He's a man with hair plugs. His son. I'm not talking about former Vice President Biden.
In his 50s.
And he was cutting business deals with his father internationally. Do you have any idea the kind of leverage that they would have on him? For crying out loud, people had Hoover by the balls because he dressed up like a woman every now and then.
He was making millions from a company that he was the CEO of while just living in Malibu doing crack.
Yes, and drywall.
Seriously, the best job ever.
This is gypsum. We can make that into drugs. Right?
So I want to rewind back in time because this was prior. This would have been and now you know, October surprises, if Democrats drop them, it'll be everywhere. If a true October surprise drops from conservatives, Republicans, big tech and media will just black it out. And now you know, we don't need to talk about Russia meddling in an election. We have big tech meddling. You don't even need to talk about votes and absentee ballots, or people who, by the way, have been indicted for ballot tampering, or pallets of votes showing up in Detroit at 3:30 a.m. in red flyer wagons.
It's okay. It's fine.
Before we get to any of that,
just a cooler of
burying a significant story which happened from the president, the entire government, our intelligence officials, the FBI. Big tech, removing, that's enough to have changed this election. That's all you need. It's enough. So, in case you've forgotten, you remember that media did not want to report on this story when it broke prior to the election, and of course tried to dismiss it as something Russian disinformation, which was the actual lie.
For all we know, these emails are made up, or maybe some are real and others are fakes. We don't know.
That's right,
but
you don't.
we do know that this is a classic example of the right-wing media machine. A tip from Bannon and a hard drive dump from Rudy led a former producer for Sean Hannity's show to write a story for the New York Post that gets splashed on the front page that Rudy then used to trash the Bidens all over Fox, and they're doing it almost every hour of the day. And Trump has been hyping the drama for days on end, and this is how it goes on and on. Now let's pull up Don Jr.'s tweet from just a little while ago. He says, how will the media attempt to sweep this one under the rug? That is the meta narrative. That's the big story they're telling. All about grievance and bias and victimhood.
And you think it's the biggest issue to campaign on?
I think it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen, and you don't cover it. You want to talk about?
Well, because it can't be verified.
You want to talk about insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course,
I just didn't want to.
Excuse me. They found the laptop, Leslie.
Can't be verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Go to Rudy Giuliani's apartment.
Right, they have it.
The family on the laptop. He's gone into hiding. For 5 days, he's gone into hiding.
He's preparing for your debate.
Oh, it's taken him 5 days to prepare. I get it. Okay, all right.
And this is what they do, right? Brian Stelter, they go, we just don't know. No, you don't want to know. It can't be verified. You haven't even attempted to verify it.
Yeah.
You have not even attempted to verify it, just like with Project Veritas, just like when we here infiltrated Antifa. and someone got arrested with the weapon that they handed to my producer that day, they had no interest in verifying it whatsoever, nor did the FBI, who we later found out, one of the members of the FBI who we were working with as it related to infiltrating Antifa, part of the sting who plotted the Whitmer murder. Yeah, I found that one out. They were trying to honeypot us, and it didn't work because it turns out that we're just decent people here, so they moved on down the trail. My point is this. The media says, we don't know. Well, you can know. We didn't verify. How about you verify it? It's like when Ilhan Omar married her brother. They're like, well, we couldn't verify it, so it's not true. Okay, it's your job. Verify it.
Right. And Brian Stelter there, you could very, very clearly see
Fourth chin
he was doing. Yes. All he was doing was carrying water for the Biden administration, or the previous,
he's bloated.
Trying to get elected to become the administration.
Yeah.
He was basically just carrying water for the guy. And it was so obvious to us at the time. If you want to cover that story and you don't know that it's real, you can say big if true, something along those lines, and say this is breaking. We cannot confirm.
Well, you mean like they did for a very, very long time on Russia?
Yes.
When this is big if true. Turns out it wasn't true, which is just brings us to the next point. Our institutions, they want to claim that we're sowing distrust. Well, I'm not sowing distrust so much as I am. You shouldn't trust them. 50 former intelligence officials signed a letter calling the emails.
Yeah.
Right? Calling some of the information on these laptops Russian disinformation, which we know is verifiably false. As you now know, I'm not saying it, the New York Times is saying it.
So they had to sign a petition to change a narrative?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Wow.
And they say, we're intelligence officials, so you can trust us. Well, now that I'm not saying this, the New York Times is saying that obviously the story is confirmed, so those officials, are they going to be brought up on charges?
Somebody should.
Is anyone going to face any... First off, they should face charges for election meddling. They should face charges for at least being, I don't know if you can be an accessory, but anyone who didn't verify or had access to this laptop, child pornography. Just to be clear, I don't think there's a charge for incestuous pornography, but there should be because it's gross. And if you do that, Ilhan Omar loses office. My point here is... This has been going on for a long time, and they don't verify. So what happened before the election, right before the election? Facebook limited the spread of the New York Post story. Okay, you know that. Twitter flat out locked the New York Post out of its account. They banned the Post, and they blocked users from sharing the article. So this is the only takeaway that you need. It's enough for an unfair, freest and safest election in history.
Best, yes.
There were polls going around that if people had known about this story, if people had known about this scandal, there was a poll that showed 9.4% of swing state voters would have changed their votes if they knew. 9.4% doesn't sound like a lot, but in swing states, that's enough. That means that Donald Trump, would have won Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. Would have been a wipeout. And think about this for a second. The consequences of, again, let's set up, we're going to have the allies and the Axis. The Axis, okay, who do we have? We have former Vice President Biden and his screw-up son. We have Nancy Pelosi. We have everyone in the DNC, okay? So whole DNC, let's put them there. Then we have the media, legacy media, ABC, CNN, CBS, MSNBC, all of them. Everyone not named Fox News. All of print, outside of New York Post. Then who else do we have? We have the FBI. We have intelligence officials, FBI, CIA, DOJ. Then who else do we have? We have the most powerful companies that have ever existed in Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. All of them decided, you're not going to know about this story because we can't verify it. No one in this chain of command said, hey, you know what? Let's verify if this is true because we are on laptop number 3. So rather than Russian meddling, which is what the intelligence officials tried to sell you, we now know that if this had not been throttled by big tech and their lackeys in media and government, we would not only have President Trump, think about what are the consequences. We very likely wouldn't have sky-high inflation. We very likely wouldn't have the Russia-Ukraine conflict. We absolutely wouldn't have had the Afghanistan withdrawal. And we likely would have had a bounce-back economy without you being perpetually locked down. That's all because of tech media censorship, who, by the way, are being directed by this government. You just saw Psaki calling for them. All because of tech censorship of one key story. That just changed the course of this country forever. Think about that for a second. The next time they try and tell you, oh, Fox News and Sean Hannity, just shut up. Just shut up, please, for crying out loud. Notice they always bitch about one network. It's like, yeah, but what about all of the other ones?
Yeah. You know how they never covered Twitter blocking it and then not letting them repost, not letting them keep that original post? I'm sorry. When they came back and said, you know, we actually made a mistake, our bad, right?
Our bad.
Now they can't. It's like, well, they can just repost the article. Well, what about the millions of people potentially that had seen that? It's certainly hundreds of thousands at the time that it got.
No, many,
down.
many
You don't get
millions.
those back.
You don't get those back.
You don't get those views back.
Let alone how
All
the
you have to
algorithm
do-
favors it.
You have to pause and then just say, "Oops, we're sorry."
Right.
That's it.
And then at that point,
No
by the
accountability.
way, the media just covers, and Twitter had to ban it because it's not a true story.
Yeah.
And then months later, well, over a year later after the election, New York Times is like, well, you know, actually it turns out it was true. Wait, hold on a second, because your paper should be burned to the ground if that's the case.
Somebody.
Well, the
other than you
problem
should own
is
it.
they knew it was true at the time.
Of course.
That's what bothers me the most about it.
Yes. And the lack of respect.
Yes. Mostly. Well, the sex.
Yes. The sex that Hunter had with maybe or maybe not his niece.
Yes. That hurt the most.
Ugh.
What hurts the second most is the lack of respect. Not that it was particularly respectful
No,
sex.
and the third was that they knew.
Yes, the third was that they knew. The point is, it's as Oprah would say, it's multi-layered. It's like her book club. She likes books that are multi-layered because she
Like
gets
cake.
to say multi-layered. And by the way, we actually, I really quickly, before we move on to the Ukrainian refugee crisis, we actually tried opening a Crowder shop in a gentrified quarter black neighborhood, and it did not go well.
Oh.
No.
So,
Will that be all?
no, actually, man, I was checking out that shirt, and I want to get one for myself. Do you have one of those around here?
No. It's available at crowdershop.com. It's this hateful racist show I watch.
So you're racist?
I watch it ironically. Everybody who watches the show is racist. Everybody who is on the show is racist. You're racist. I'm racist.
And you don't have that here
No.
at the store.
No, it's racist ironically store, crowdershop.com.
.com. Head over to the shop, support the fight, and buy some cool threads. It's the Tits Pajamas. .com.
iPad.
I'm a child. I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were coming back that quickly.
That hurts so much.
It hurt that person so much.
Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, that's your twin.
Oh.
Yeah, it's my triplet.
It's your twin brother. I just realized we're actually going over time, and I have to go
You do
prepare. I
have
have
to
a
go.
Change My Mind that will be coming out. Hey, by the way, just so you know, hint for the Change My Mind that's going to be happening. It's going to be at. Can I say it's going to be at? It's going to be at a school.
A school. Uh-huh.
Usually, a lot of times people don't realize 50% of the Change My Minds are just in a street corner.
Yeah.
UNT. And then we're going to be. Hey, I don't think that biological males should be allowed to compete in women's sports.
Really?
So I expect the reaction from many people to be this. And I'd be like, hey, what?
It should be, yep.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're over time. I have to go get ready for this. And the Ukrainian refugee crisis story is one that I want. Let me just give you a quick. Let me give you a briefer on it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. The media wants you to think that we only care about refugees from Ukraine because they're white. It's not true. We accept more non-white refugees. Poland, by the way, has accepted more Ukrainian refugees than any country in the world right now, and they've been excoriated for not doing enough. And the real issue here is that, of course, Americans want to support women and children who are fleeing a country at war as opposed to military-aged men who are fleeing non-persecution because they're Muslim in the Middle East, and it's been going on since first. So we're going to talk about it tomorrow. The point is this. Don't let anyone make you think that you're racist if you look at Ukrainian refugees as less of a problem than, say, ISIS defectors. Yeah?
That sounds right.
Well, we still have a whole segment. We'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Mug Club right now. By the way, I didn't say smash that like button.
You need to.
You guys need to smash the like button, especially if you want, smash the like button if you want more Change My Minds, because it's pretty tough for us to do now with security.
Yeah.
I got that acid milkshake. I looked like Katie Holmes for a bit.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what they can do with tear duct surgery. Smash the like button. YouTube, piss off.